Hello, and welcome back to the weekly Oracle card reading with Kylie Savage, Psychic Medium. I've drawn 4 cards from The Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid and 1 card from Kyle Gray's Angel Prayers deck. Okay, now first card is By the Book. That will be our anchor card, number 11. And our second card is number 52, Mending. Our third card is number 24, Time for a Nap. And our fourth card, it's in the protection position, and that's number 26, and it's Happy, Happy. Okay, and so the card that I pulled to ask to be a guide and to support us with anything that comes up in the reading is the Inner Voice from the Angel Prayers deck. You have to excuse me, I'm very sniffy today. It's been really cold here, but today it's been a beautiful sunny Sunday, and I've yet to get outside and really enjoy it. Okay, so I'm not sure how you guys went with last week, and if you've been following these videos along each week, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the views, your liking and subscribing, and I just appreciate the support. Okay, so last week we had the Wasp, and I always sort of go back and watch last week's video and see, you know, how it all panned out for me. I sort of look at these videos and any of the work that I do as, you know, even if this work helps one person and that one person turns out to be me, then it's all worth it. So I'm often amazed at, you know, how the reading does unfold for me during the week, and when I go back and reflect and watch the video from the week before, I'm like, oh, okay, I get a deeper sense of the meaning of that reading and how it applied to me, and I get further insights because these cards, you know, we have the guidebooks which are just fabulous, and I highly recommend reading these cards along with the guidebook. Even Colette on her weekly Oracle card guidance and lesson, she will read from her guidebooks because they're all, you know, this is, it's wisdom between the pages. It really is. You can tell that this comes directly from Spirit, and it's a partnership that Colette has with Spirit, and that's very much how I do my work. Anyway, we had the Wasp, and what I took from the Wasp was, for me, I had some quite challenging situations, and I needed to assert my boundaries and have really strong boundaries with people, and I had to take some actions that I didn't like to do. And at first I was kind of feeling a bit resentful and a bit put upon, and, you know, one half of me was like, just go with this, Kylie, see how it unfolds. You know, there's probably an opportunity in here for you. And it was triggering and bringing up stuff from my past and other situations. And the other part of me was reflecting on it. I thought, wow, these people are coming from a place where I used to be, and they're coming from sort of like a viewpoint and just having experiences in their life which I had a very long time ago. And I just thought I was so grateful for all the support I received when I really needed it, and for the people who showed up for me and took my phone calls. And I can see now too, you know, some of those people who are supporting me, they went through their own process of having to have really strong boundaries and assert them, and they did that with me. So I had the experience of when I go on and support people in a similar situation, I remembered, you know, you have to have incredibly strong boundaries. When you're working with people who, you know, for some of them, they're in a place where boundaries is like a foreign concept. Anyway, and I felt, you know, all this guilt come up, and then I realised too, you know, I had this one voice that wanted to be reactive, and you want to say to these people, you know, this is really upsetting me, and I feel like this is, you know, very selfish behaviour, and hey, what about me, sort of thing. And then I had to really stop and think and pray and say, you know, how can I communicate with these people, communicate my boundaries and assert myself without, you know, can I take the sting out of the words? And look, we can only ever do the best we can. Sometimes, you know, our words just fall on deaf ears. People really aren't in a place where they're ready to take in and really hear what we're saying. and there's nothing we can do about that. That doesn't mean that we can't, benefit from having the experience of communicating with these people and asserting our boundaries. And I just felt like, we had the deer as well, and I just felt like there was a level of gentleness and compassion that I really had to dig deep for last week to be able to communicate with these people. And then the other message too was, we were talking about, we don't need to pay people back or, teach them lessons. And, if someone's done something wrong to us, it's not for us to try and fix or change or punish that person. We need to trust in the laws of karma and balance, and universal laws, and things will get ironed out. And so when we've got this card by the book coming up this week, I feel like it's a follow-on theme. And often readings do seem to follow themes. Whatever is going on with universal energies, there seem to be themes that come up which globally we can connect to and have experiences with, and then we shift into something else. So by the book, I feel like it's continuing that theme from last week, where we need to trust that the universe was created with laws. And these laws operate regardless of wherever we are at in our lives. Whatever we're struggling with, whatever we're challenged by, whatever we're having difficulty processing or being with or understanding, doesn't matter. Because these universal laws, these are the laws that keep everything sort of operating almost like on automatic. And that sounds very impersonal, to think that universal laws happen automatically. When I started to learn more about universal law, that idea really put me off, because I'm interested in connecting with a God of my own understanding, a conscious creator and a conscious creative intelligence and a conscious creative force that is responsive, and it's responsive to me personally. So when I got taught that, things like the law of attraction is set up, the whole universe is set up automatically to respond to us in a certain way and respond to other forces and laws in a certain way, I was like, oh my God, that just didn't sit right with me. So I ditched that idea, because I don't need to follow other people's ideas. I can learn from them, but I need to find a philosophy and a way of life which works for me. And what works for me is, yes, perhaps that's true. Perhaps the universe is set up to run on automatic. Isn't that fantastic? Very economical. But that doesn't mean that I can't enter into a relationship with a universe that is personally responsive to me, that I can connect with, that I can belong to, that I can have some back and forth, I can enter into a conversation and dialogue with. And when you look at oracle cards, they're like the best example of a responsive universe, because these are a tool through which you can have a conversation with the universe. And like Colette says, the universe is very chatty. It sure is. I mean, when you look at these cards, you think, this is just paper, pretty pictures on paper, and yet they're not. They're so much more than that. They're like, these amazing, energetic, communicative devices, which are incredible, and we're so blessed to have them. And oracles and oracle systems have been around for millennia, been around since day dot. They've just evolved, become more accessible, more refined, like Colette's done with these decks. You made them for modern life, brought ancient principles and spiritual understandings, philosophies and beliefs, and made them accessible and modern. It's fabulous. Anyway, going back, the whole thing is, if you look at the universe as being a responsive energy, a conscious energy that you can engage and have a relationship with, and what I'm hearing through this week is that it's almost like we need to have a very conscious relationship with the universe, and we need to enter into a state of trust with the universe. So in a way, what you can do is relax and say, well, perhaps the universe does run almost on automatic. Isn't that great? We can have some faith in that. We can have some trust in that, that no matter what else goes on, these laws operate and they're unshakable. They're definite, they're absolute, they've been going on since the universe began. They're there for our benefit and everyone else's benefit in the universe. We don't entirely understand them at all. I think we barely scratch the surface. Yet when you do scratch the surface, you'll see in every major spiritual teaching, religion, spiritual philosophy, there's your universal laws. They're all there. And once you do understand spiritual law and universal law, you see it everywhere. And that's what Spirit's saying to us this week. We can kind of relax into this space where these laws operate. We can get to understand them. We can get to know how they work in our lives. And I have such a strong inner healthy rebel, and it's not always healthy for me, that I just want to fight and resist any kind of restriction, rules, laws. And yet, when I'm out driving down the road, I'm so grateful for laws, for road laws. And I'm one of the first people to say, oh, look at that person, they're not driving correctly, or look at that person, oh, they're breaking the law. There a lot of law breakers out here. I want everyone else to conform to the laws to keep me safe, and so that I can enjoy my experience on the road. And the best way I can do anything about me being safe on the road is I need to obey those rules first. I need to be conscious and aware of the laws and the rules, and I need to drive following those rules. And if more of us have that mindset and that attitude and have that practice of being aware of rules and following them, then we're all a lot safer on the road. So look at what happens when we have lots of lawbreakers. Stuff doesn't work out very well for us at all. In fact, it's downright lethally dangerous when we break laws. I do think there is a lot of over-policing and over-laws, and the thing is, when you do a deep dive into universal law, you can just get so bogged down in it, and that inner perfectionist can want to get it all right and punish yourself if you get it wrong, and yet we can just keep it very, very simple. We can find what works for us, take what we like, leave the rest, throw out what doesn't. And if it's meant for us, it's not going to go past us. That's kind of a universal law too. And we don't have to get into such a confused muddle and, up in our head about all this stuff. Because as you said, whether we admit it or not, universal law exists. It's happening right now. It happened, in the past, will probably happen forever. And we're just going to say thank God that it does exist, because so much of it operates and we don't have to have an impact on it. We don't have to do anything about it. We can learn about it and we can start to interact and cooperate with universal law. That's the ultimate goal. And co-creation is so much about collaboration and cooperation with universal law and entering into that, personal relationship with the energy that's created worlds. Yet, we can also just sit back and know that things are being taken care of and we don't have to meddle and mess with things. We can relax into the world, which is governed and run and taken care of by universal law. So I keep hearing faith. We can have faith in universal law, we can have trust in universal law, and we can have faith this week that things are going to work out the way that they need to. Now, mending, I feel like it's coming here because it's about cleaning up, old resentments, making amends. And I'm really I'm at a time in my life where I'm really releasing so much from my past. And mending is a terrific tool to release you from past experiences, past relationships, past patterns of behaviour. So let's look this week. If something comes up or you run into someone from the past, just look and say, perhaps, is there an amends to make there? Or did I do something last week which is out of alignment and I need to make amends for? Now remember, amends is different to an apology. You might need to do an amends and an apology, who knows? But amends is about making something right, which goes back to universal law as well. It's all about balance, and the law of karma and things like that. So, and, remember, if you're writing out an amends list, put yourself on there. Put God on there, put yourself on there. And, look at institutions, not just people, beliefs, things like that, like the government. And then when you're making amends, there is a way to make direct amends to people. And definitely if that can come up and be done in a good way, I would highly recommend it. Yeah, you really do need support before you go running around making amends to people, because you can actually cause them further harm if you don't do it in the right way. So I really highly recommend writing out your amends list and then writing out each amends like a letter to the person. It's very healing, very cathartic. Read it out aloud and then burn it. And you'll find that even if you don't get the opportunity to make the direct amends to somebody, that you'll have some experience will come up, and you'll be given some sign from life that this situation is resolved. That has happened so many times I can't tell you. So I really have faith in that. Time for a nap is, I feel like, not just about having a physical rest. It recommends having a holiday, all the rest. Yet I feel like it's the mindset we need going forward in this week, and I can really relate to it, saying, you know what, just before, school goes back for us here in Australia, in the southern states, just because the world will ask us, society and culture will ask us to rush in and get busy and get back on the rat wheel and, run around, do all these things, it doesn't mean that we don't have control of our day and that we can't take some things back for ourselves and say, have time to meditate or change up the way that we manage our lives and the routine of the day. And we can't, look at, big gaps of time or even small gaps of time and say, hey, this will be my mini holiday. This will be my meditation break, or I'll go for a walk, or I'll do something that I really want to do. Somebody suggested that to me so many years ago, was, in every day they did something that they wanted to do. And this was a very busy person, they had a lot of children, they were a single parent, and I thought, if that person can do that, I'm going to give it a go. And it's really served me well for so many years. Just in every day to pull out one thing and say, ask myself, Kylie, what is it you would like to do today? Sometimes it's just going and sitting and having a cup of tea and having 5 minutes quiet time. Remember that this is your life, and it is what you make it. So, and you're worth, taking the time and living a life that's full of joy and very enjoyable. Happy is saying that in protection, is saying, we don't need to take life so seriously. We can back off. It says the miracle is the funny part, and if we treat life like a life sentence, well, God, that's just not a life that a lot of us are really going to feel successful in and feel happy in, and really going to want to continue. There's some real heavy energy around at the moment. If you're very sensitive and tuned in, you might be feeling it as well. And like, I can have, great times of levity and humour, and I know when I'm down, and feeling, really rough and in a dark time, the first thing that goes is my sense of humour, and it's the thing I need the most. Never forget, how healing humour can be. And, if you find something hilarious and it kind of doesn't make sense to anyone else, who cares? If it helps you out of a tight spot, I'm all for it. Okay, the inner voice is, the same thing. Getting quiet, thinking about some balance in our week, not getting caught up in the busy. And, our inner voice gets drowned out by the noisy voices of the world if we listen to them. So I feel like we've got to be rather disciplined this week, making conscious choices about how to spend our time and who to spend it with. And, if things are too negative or too, turn the TV off, switch your phone off, walk away from someone who's spouting negativity. Shut the door on all the noise in the house and go in your room and put your headphones on, do whatever you need to do to say, hey, I can be in this world but not of it, and I can take some time for myself to cultivate that inner peace and listen to my own inner voice. I find the best way to really cultivate listening to your inner voice is, one, you've got to value it. You've got to understand that your intuition is that nice, calm voice that only has positive suggestions to give to you. It will never tell you to go and do, something harmful to yourself or another person. It may encourage you to do some tough things, some challenging things, but they will never be harmful, and you'll always be protected and guided as you listen to your intuition. And I just feel that we need to stay strong and grounded in our own wisdom, like it was saying to us last week. this is where we're going to find a sense of peace and serenity, and where we're really going to have the best, most positive impact on other people. Be that calm center in the storm. And if, you know, if you're the storm, then pick out the calm center within you again and cultivate that. Just remember, it's your life, it's your week, it's your moment, these are your days. And remember, it's okay to enjoy your life. In fact, that's kind of the point. Blessings on your week. I'd love to hear some comments and some feedback, and please share with your friends. That would be fabulous.